The galaxy swirled with endless possibilities, a breathtaking expanse of stars and planets, each harboring its own secrets. At the heart of the Andromeda Quadrant, a formidable alien empire ruled with unyielding power. Their king, Zorvok the Supreme, was revered and feared across the cosmos. Yet, even the mighty have their flaws, and for King Zorvok, his weakness lay in his daughter, Lyara. Lyara, the princess of the Xyronian Empire, was a delicate and timid creature by their species standards. Xyronians were known for their towering physiques, their skin like obsidian armor, and their unparalleled strength. But Lyara was an anomaly, smaller, weaker, and more attuned to the arts and knowledge than the brutal ways of war. Whispers of her inadequacy spread through the royal courts and beyond, painting her as an embarrassment to her father's legacy. King Zorvok, though disappointed, loved his daughter deeply. However, he knew that love alone would not secure her future or the empire's stability. The galaxy was rife with enemies, and a ruler without strength was a ruler doomed to fall. Thus, he devised a plan, one that was unconventional, risky, and seemingly cruel. On the edge of the Milky Way galaxy, Earth, a relatively primitive planet by Xyronian standards, had always been regarded as insignificant. Its inhabitants, humans, were frail and technologically inferior. Yet, they possessed an uncanny resilience and adaptability that intrigued Zorvok. If Lyara could learn from them, perhaps she could uncover a strength hidden within herself. Or so he hoped. Without warning, Lyara was summoned to the throne room. The grand chamber, adorned with crystalline spires and pulsating energy orbs, seemed more imposing than ever. Zorvok's piercing gaze bore into her as she knelt before him. "Daughter," his voice rumbled like a distant thunderstorm, "your weaknesses can no longer be tolerated. I have made arrangements for your transformation." Lyara's heart raced. "Transformation? Father, I do not understand." "You will leave Xyronia," he declared, his tone void of emotion. "You will live among the humans on Earth, disguised as one of them. They are fragile but resourceful. You will learn their ways, and you will either grow strong or perish." The proclamation was met with gasps from the courtiers. Lyara's eyes widened in disbelief. "You cannot be serious. Earth is a backwater planet. What could I possibly gain from such an exile?" Zorvok leaned forward, his expression stern. "Survival. Prove to me, to the Empire, and to yourself that you are more than what you appear. This is not a punishment, Lyara. It is an opportunity." Before she could protest further, the king gestured to his advisors. Two guards stepped forward, their grasp firm but not unkind as they escorted the bewildered princess out of the chamber. She was given little time to pack her belongings before being ushered onto a sleek spacecraft destined for Earth. Lyara's arrival on Earth was unceremonious. Her craft landed in a remote forest under the cover of night. Equipped with a device that allowed her to adopt a human appearance, she emerged as a young woman with striking yet unassuming features, auburn hair, pale skin, and a slender frame. The advanced translator embedded in her neural cortex ensured she could understand and speak the planet's languages fluently. Her first few days were a blur of confusion and frustration. The human world was chaotic, noisy, and unpredictable. She wandered through towns and cities, observing their ways and struggling to adapt. Money, a concept alien to her, became an immediate obstacle. With no resources and no knowledge of Earth's customs, she was forced to rely on her wits. One evening, as she roamed the dimly lit streets of a bustling city, she encountered a man being accosted by a group of thugs in an alleyway. The sight stirred something within her, a blend of fear and indignation. Despite her lack of combat training, she felt compelled to intervene. "Leave him alone," she demanded, her voice trembling but resolute. The thugs turned their attention to her, laughing at the seemingly frail woman who dared to challenge them. One of them lunged at her, but years of instinctive agility kicked in. Lyara dodged clumsily, her movements unrefined but effective. She managed to trip her attacker, causing him to fall face first onto the pavement. The commotion drew the attention of passers-by, and the thugs, unwilling to attract further scrutiny, retreated with curses and threats. The man Lyara had saved looked at her with a mix of gratitude and astonishment. "That was brave," he said, offering his hand. "I'm Ethan." "Lyara," she replied cautiously, shaking his hand. "Are you injured?" "Nothing I can't handle," he said with a wry smile. "But you handled yourself pretty well back there. Not many people would step in like that." Ethan turned out to be a kind-hearted yet rough-around-the-edges former soldier, now working as a mechanic. Recognizing her vulnerability, he offered her a place to stay and a chance to learn about Earth's ways. Reluctantly, she accepted, knowing she had little choice. Living with Ethan was an education in itself. He taught her about human technology, culture, and survival skills. In return, Lyara shared bits of her own knowledge, carefully omitting the truth about her origins. Ethan noticed her uncanny intelligence and physical potential, encouraging her to channel it productively. He introduced her to martial arts, taking her to a local gym where she could train. At first, Lyara struggled. Her body, though enhanced by Xyronian biology, was unfamiliar with the disciplined techniques of combat. But as weeks turned into months, her determination grew. She practiced tirelessly, pushing herself beyond her limits. Ethan became both her mentor and her friend, his unwavering support a source of strength she had never known. Over time, Lyara's transformation became evident. Her once timid demeanor gave way to a quiet confidence. She learned to navigate the complexities of human interaction, forging connections and earning respect. Yet, she never forgot her purpose. Every day was a step toward proving her worth, not just to her father but to herself. The turning point came one fateful night when a powerful crime syndicate targeted the neighborhood where Lyara and Ethan lived. The gang, armed with advanced weaponry and ruthless intent, sought to expand their control through fear and violence. The community was paralyzed, their cries for help unanswered by the authorities. Lyara could no longer stand idly by. Donning a makeshift disguise, she confronted the gang leaders in their hideout. Her training, combined with her Xyronian resilience, made her a formidable opponent. She dismantled their operations with precision, exposing their crimes and rallying the community to take a stand. News of her actions spread, and she became a symbol of hope and defiance. Ethan, who had pieced together fragments of her true identity, confronted her about it. She confessed everything, her alien heritage, her mission, and her struggle to find her place in the universe. "You're more human than most people I know," Ethan said, his voice filled with admiration. "And you've got a strength that goes beyond anything I've ever seen." As months turned into years, Lyara's reputation grew. She continued to protect the innocent, using her abilities to fight for justice. Her journey was far from over, but she had found a purpose that transcended her father's expectations. She was no longer the weak princess of Xyronia. She had become a warrior, forged in the crucible of Earth, and her story was just beginning. But across the galaxy, the Xyronian Empire faced a growing threat. A coalition of rival factions, emboldened by the absence of their king's heir, began to encroach upon Xyronian territories. Zorvok, now aged and burdened by the weight of his decisions, realized that the time had come to summon his daughter back home. The message reached Lyara in the form of a holographic transmission, delivered by an advanced Xyronian probe. She stared at the image of her father, his once imposing presence diminished by the years. Yet, his voice carried the same commanding authority. "Lyara," he began, his tone softer than she remembered. "The Empire needs you. I was wrong to send you away, but in doing so, I see now that you have become what I always hoped you could be. Return to Xyronia. Help us reclaim our strength." Lyara's heart was torn. Earth had become her home, and its people her family. Yet, the call of duty and the chance to prove herself to her father was a temptation she could not ignore. She turned to Ethan, her closest confidant, seeking his counsel. "You've already shown what you're capable of," he said, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "But this is your journey, Lyara. If anyone can bridge the gap between worlds, it's you." With a heavy heart, she prepared to leave Earth. The people she had protected gathered to bid her farewell, their gratitude and admiration evident in their tearful goodbyes. Ethan handed her a small, worn medallion, a token of their bond and a reminder of her time on Earth. As her spacecraft ascended into the stars, Lyara felt a mix of sadness and resolve. She had transformed from a timid princess into a fearless warrior, and now she faced her greatest challenge yet, to unite two worlds and fulfill her destiny as a leader who could wield both strength and compassion. Her return to Xyronia was met with awe and skepticism. The courtiers who had once mocked her now bowed in respect, and her father embraced her with a pride he had never before expressed. Together, they strategized to repel the encroaching enemies and restore the Empire's glory. Lyara's time on Earth had taught her the value of unity and resilience. She implemented changes within the Xyronian military, incorporating tactics and principles she had learned from humanity. Her efforts turned the tide of battle, and the Xyronian Empire emerged victorious. As peace was restored, Lyara stood on the balcony of the royal palace, gazing at the stars. She thought of Earth, of Ethan, and of the journey that had shaped her into who she had become. Though her path was uncertain, one thing was clear: she was no longer defined by her weaknesses but by the strength she had discovered within. In the end, Lyara realized that strength was not about physical power or dominance. It was about perseverance, compassion, and the courage to face the unknown. She had become a bridge between worlds, a symbol of hope and transformation, and her legacy would echo through the stars for generations to come. Though peace had returned to Xyronia, Lyara's return created ripples of change that neither she nor her father could have anticipated. The Empire's citizens, long accustomed to a rigid hierarchy, began to question the traditional values of strength and dominance. Lyara's methods, rooted in strategy, empathy, and cooperation, sparked a quiet revolution among the Xyronian youth. One such youth was Rhino, a brilliant but rebellious student from Xyronia's Academy of Combat. Inspired by Lyara's Earth-inspired leadership, Rhino sought an audience with her. Lyara, now officially titled the heir of the Empire, listened to him speak passionately about reforming Xyronia's militaristic traditions. "Princess Lyara," he said, his voice steady but fervent, "you've shown us a new path, one where strength isn't measured by brute force but by unity and wisdom. If Xyronia is to thrive, we must evolve." Impressed by his courage, Lyara saw in Rhino a reflection of her younger self. She took him under her wing, mentoring him and encouraging others like him to join her efforts. Together, they established the Academy of Galactic Harmony, where Xyronians and allies from other species could train in diplomacy, strategy, and intergalactic cooperation. Meanwhile, Lyara couldn't ignore the pull of Earth. Her thoughts often drifted to Ethan and the life she had built there. Despite her responsibilities, she found time to send discreet messages to him using Xyronian technology. To her relief, Ethan responded, sharing stories of Earth's progress and the neighborhood she had once protected. One message stood out. "Lyara, things aren't the same without you. But your influence is still felt. The people here remember what you taught them, that even in the face of darkness, we can stand strong together. I miss you. Earth misses you." The words stirred something deep within her. Though she had made peace with her decision to leave Earth, a part of her longed to bridge the gap between her two homes. An opportunity presented itself when the Galactic Summit, a rare gathering of leaders from across the universe, was announced. For the first time in centuries, Earth was invited to attend, its advancements in technology and culture earning it a place among the stars. Lyara, as Xyronia's representative, saw this as her chance to reconnect with the planet that had shaped her. When the summit convened on the neutral planet of Alphara, Lyara's heart raced as she spotted Earth's delegation. Among them was Ethan, now an ambassador for humanity. Their eyes met across the grand chamber, and for a moment, the weight of their responsibilities faded. After the day's proceedings, they met in a quiet garden under Alpha's 3 moons. Ethan smiled, his familiar warmth dispelling the years of distance. "You're not the same Lyara who stumbled into that alley," he said, his voice tinged with pride. "But I always knew you'd become something extraordinary." "And you," she replied, her voice soft but firm, "are the reason I found my strength. Without you, I wouldn't be here." Their conversation stretched into the night, weaving memories of the past with hopes for the future. Lyara proposed a bold idea, an alliance between Earth and Xyronia, built on mutual respect and shared knowledge. Ethan agreed, recognizing the potential for both worlds to grow stronger together. The alliance between Earth and Xyronia became a beacon of hope in a galaxy still healing from centuries of conflict. Lyara and Ethan worked tirelessly to foster understanding between their peoples, hosting cultural exchanges and collaborative missions. Under Lyara's leadership, Xyronia shed its reputation as a ruthless empire, becoming a symbol of progress and unity. Yet, Lyara's journey was far from over. New challenges emerged, from rogue factions opposing the alliance to ancient secrets buried in the galaxy's depths. But she faced them with unwavering resolve, knowing that her strength lay not in isolation but in the connections she had forged. As the years passed, Lyara's name became legend, her story told across the stars. She was the princess who defied expectations, the warrior who bridged worlds, and the leader who transformed an empire. But to those who knew her best, she was simply Lyara, a being of boundless courage and compassion, forever seeking to create a better galaxy. And though her path was uncertain, one truth remained: Lyara's journey had only just begun.